Hello and welcome to this pattern recognition video featuring fork tactics. And if you're new to this pattern recognition strategy of improving your chess, well, basically you want to solve a set of puzzles and you go through them nice and slow the first time, and then you increase the speed at which you solve them as you go through them a second, a third, fourth, multiple times. That way, instead of just solving a tactic once and forgetting all about it, you solve it multiple times until it kind of goes into your long-term memory, and hopefully you can use it in your own games and help improve your chess. So I'll try and do at least 10 puzzles depending how fast they go. These are rated 1500 to 2000. If you're a beginner, lower rated than that, you can still try these because they'll all be dealing with forks in the tactics that you're trying to solve for. And so that should help you a good bit. All right, let's begin here. What is happening in this position? Well, the queen just moved here, threatening to maybe capture this pawn with this battery. So what can we do? We're looking for a possible fork. So, pause the video if you need to think longer. If not, here we go. If we could move here, forking the king and the rook, that would be a possibility, but the queen is covering that. So perhaps we can try and grab their rook, grab their bishop with our rook. Then if they capture, they won't be guarding that square any longer. We can just check and then grab their rook. So here we go. And here's the fork tactic. Checking the king, attacking the rook. We grab this piece. And now we do have a pin here, but maybe we have time to get out of that. Possibly checking over here. Anyway, let's move on. The focus is on forks here. So problem number 1 is complete. That was 1657 rated. On to puzzle number 2. Okay, we just had a capture here. Maybe we could just take back with our rook, but we're looking for a fork tactic. So how do we do that? Well, let's see. And something else you want to check for when you're undecided on the right move in a puzzle or in a game, you want to look at checks, captures, and threats in that order to see if there's anything that you can use to your advantage. Checks first as they're most forcing. So this knight could go here or here, but since we're looking for a fork, if we could move our knight here, we'd have a fork on the king and the queen. The knight is guarding at the moment. So what can we do here? If we just capture, well, then the knight could recapture and still be guarding that square. Oh, now there is another issue here. If this knight moves with check, it looks like the knight could just take, and then it would be guarding the queen. So if there was a way, right now that queen is unguarded, and that's something you want to look for. If you don't have any good checks, maybe then you have captures, and the first thing you want to look at when you're trying to decide if there are any good captures is to take a look at unprotected pieces. Like right now we have an unprotected rook in our opponent's camp, an unprotected queen. That's about it. Now, once again, we could try and go after that. But then you also want to look, and maybe the first thing you want to do is count up the material. We have 7 pawns. Our opponent has 5. So we're ahead 2 pawns. We each have 2 minor pieces, but they have an extra rook now. So whatever we do, if we don't take this rook back, which we could do that and just go for a... Oh, well, there's another issue of capturing here, grabbing our knight. So I think a move with check is probably best. But we already saw that if we move that knight here, it'll be captured. So maybe we move the knight here with check and then grab that queen, and we'll also protect the rook here. And that's what they wanted. All right, now we just grab that. And if we look at the material, they have what? A knight and a rook for our queen, but we do have this dangerous passed pawn over here. All right, on to puzzle number 3. The knight is just captured in the center, so what do we do here? And our queen is under attack. Our knight is under attack. It's pinned. It looks like we could take this bishop maybe, but not really, because then our queen would be captured. So checks first. If we look at checks first, and you know, if you wanted to, you could count up the material, but maybe I'll hold off on that. Okay. We don't need to really count up the material, because if we look at all the checks, we might have a good check here. So we could move our knight out of the way, delivering a check. Well, excuse me, move our knight out of the way, delivering a check, and we're pinning that queen, so the queen wouldn't be able to do anything. They'd have to capture with another piece. So what would be best here? You know, if we try to deliver a check here, they could block with a pawn, or they would just capture us with that knight. And we also have to take into account they could capture here with a check if our queen wasn't guarding that. So if we deliver a check first, then we could grab this. Well, I don't know if that would work either, because if we grab this knight, they can go after our queen. So maybe... All right. I say we move this knight either here or here. So maybe if we go here, the knight would recapture. Then we could go after the queen with check. Then we'd be able to go after this knight or the bishop, depending which one moves. Now, the thing to ask is, does it matter which way we go with our knight? If we go here, they could capture with a pawn. And then this bishop would be under attack. So maybe it's better to go here. So I'm going to try that. No. So did they want the other direction? No? Oh, neither one. Okay, so what are we overlooking here? Maybe something more forcing. We grab the knight immediately. We're attacking the queen. They could take our queen. We could take their queen. So, okay, that's what they want. Which way do we go now? Do we grab that? Problem is, if we grab this, oh, we can fork. So maybe we go ahead and do that. But one issue is this bishop. If it goes here, it's going to fork our rook and our knight. So what do we do then? All right, if we look at material, and when you're solving these puzzles, you should try and do as much as you can without stopping in the middle like this and trying to solve part of it and then go on, because in a game you have to make sure you're right all the way to the end if you're in a tournament game. That way you don't start down a incorrect path. All right, and you wouldn't have the program telling you if your move was right or not. So, we have that possibility of forking the king and the rook here. Let's count up the material. Right now, we are down one pawn. So, if we fork here and then grab that rook, our opponent could go here. Oh, it looks like, well, maybe we could escape with a check. No, we'd be captured. I don't know. It almost looks like I have to capture this bishop, but they probably want me to go there. All right, really? So they're not even going to show more? You can leave comments at any time if you'd like. I always enjoy hearing what you have to say. But here, it looks like there's still some play left in this. Where do they go? Maybe here, attacking the knight. But then if we go here, taking that rook, the knight is trapped. In that corner. And then it's their turn. They could go here, forking my rook and my knight. Maybe I could, well, move this knight and deliver a check, but the bishop would be covering that. So if I move my rook, then what? They grab my knight. My other knight is trapped. I don't know. A lot of play still left. Okay, on to puzzle number 4. Let's continue on. Looking for a fork tactic. What do we do? Okay, first we want to take a quick look at the material. We have 4 pawns. Our opponent has 5. What about the pieces? We each have 2 minor pieces, a queen and 2 rooks. So we're just down by a pawn. So do we have any checks? Well, we do have a check, and it looks like maybe a good fork as well. So we go here, delivering a check. I should have told you to pause the video if you didn't figure this out already. But we go here delivering a check, and we're forking the king and the knight. Then we can drop back and just pick up that knight. All right, check, and we grab that. And then they just helped us exchange off more material. And now we're ahead by this knight versus their extra pawn. And they just traded material down even more by trading those queens off. So something you don't want to do, if you're behind in material, you want to avoid piece trades, but try and get rid of the pawns, trade off the pawns. So if you're ahead in material, you want to go ahead and try and just trade these pieces down. So the next thing I would do is want to get rid of this bishop. They should probably retreat that bishop or move it somewhere where I can't capture it. Anyway, that was rated 1887. On to problem, puzzle number 5. Here we go. We just had a capture and they're attacking our bishop. So quick look at the material. We have 6 pawns. Our opponent has 7, but they have they have 8 pawns, but a really fractured, isolated double pawn structure over here. We could just take this pawn and attack the queen, but we're looking for a fork. Oh, we have this, the fork here. So let's count up the material. They have 8 pawns. We have, 6? So we're down by 2 pawns. We each have 3 minor pieces, a queen and 2 rooks. So we're just down 2 pawns. And we have our bishop under attack. Well, we could just take their bishop, and if they recapture, well, then we could fork their king and rook over here. And if they don't capture, then we can just retreat back. Oh, we can't retreat back that way. We'd have to retreat back this way, I guess, and keep our bishop. All right, I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's see if it's the wrong answer. No, that's what they wanted. So now we have time to fork. We grab the rook, and we're just ahead in material there. Okay, what next? We're halfway done if I want to do 10 puzzles. So puzzle number 6. They get behind the passed pawn. Always a good strategy because you can help guard that pawn as it's moving up the board towards the promotion square. If we count up material, we have 6 pawns for us, and the black pieces have 6 as well. We each have a minor piece and 2 rooks. So here you have a knight versus a bishop. Now, generally, the bishop is better when there are pawns on both sides of the board like this. But it is kind of, a little bit congested over here. So the scope of the bishop is slightly limited. We have a knight in the middle of the board, so it's trying to, get some type of play. We're looking for fork tactics. Well, if we just go here with a fork, forking the king and the rook, we could be captured. Oh, but if we're captured, we just capture back. And they still have this dangerous passed pawn here. All right. Oh, maybe we just knock that bishop out. So if we go there, capturing, and they capture back, well, now we can fork with no problem. So, excuse me, capture, and we grab the knight. And now we're attacking this. We're attacking the passed pawn. they are attacking us here, but we probably definitely want to get rid of this passed pawn first. Anyway, let's move on here. We're ahead by that extra knight, so that should help us as long as that knight doesn't end up getting trapped. So maybe you would want to move here, protect your two pawns that are being forked by the rook here. And if the king attacked you, you could always just go ahead and capture this, perhaps. All right, on to puzzle number 7. Bishop has developed, and with that developing move, our bishop is under attack. What do we do? Well, we should count up the material and see if we need to simplify down. Now, we're looking for fork tactics, so we have to keep that in mind as well. But material count, we have 7 pawns. Our opponent has the same number. And all our other pieces are the same. Bishop, knight, rooks, and queen. So we're looking for a fork tactic. And also, our bishop is being attacked and it's not protected. So we could move our knight here, developing it further out, attacking the queen, and protecting our bishop with our queen at the same time. So that's a possibility. Or we could just take the attacking bishop and then their queen would take. And then what do we do? I'm still not seeing any kind of fork tactic. Maybe we move forward here, attack the queen. When the queen moves, it'll have to remain defending this bishop. Then we could take the bishop. Queen would take. If we move our knight here attacking the queen, does that do anything? I don't see any follow-up after that. All right. Well, and we're looking for forks here. Interesting. This one's a little bit trickier. So what do you think? Have you found it already? Maybe you're doing better than I am. Okay. When you're looking at possible forks, you definitely want to take a look at the knight moves. Knights, they can fork in a tricky way. I don't really see anything. I mean, if we move here, we fork the queen and this pawn that's protected by the rook. We do have to remember about the bishops in contact with one another. Also with forks, rooks, queens, bishops, they can all fork pretty well also. So, I don't know. And something else you can try and do is decoy pieces into a position where you can fork them easier. Or chase a piece into a disadvantageous square or onto a bad square. All right, we can't push here with the pawn attacking. They'll just grab our pawn with check, and that would be terrible. So what do we do here? Attack the queen. If we move our knight, move our knight, the queen is under attack. If we take, the bishop. The queen ends up where the bishop is. Then what? All right, what am I missing here? I am not seeing what they want. What kind of fork? Okay, let's see. We have to take care of this bishop move, it looks like. Is there something crazy we can do pushing this pawn? They could just go here, attack. I don't know. Maybe we push there, they go there, we castle, move our rook over here. I don't know, that takes too long. What am I missing? All right, I'm just going to play this out because this one is giving me a little bit of a problem. So if we go there, queen has to go there. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to try and push this. No, they don't want that. Do they want me to just take the bishop? No. Okay, do we attack the queen? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I overlooked that one. I hope you found it and did a better job than I did. So that was a case where we had to maneuver the queen to this square, where now we can fork them both. If the queen moves, now we have two attackers on that bishop. Okay, on to puzzle number 8. I hope you did better on that last one than I did. And if you have puzzles like that where they just stump you, those are the best ones to go back and do multiple times. Try and find similar puzzles with that same theme, and then just drill those, going through them regularly to help you improve, because that might be a weak spot. All right, what do we have here? Well, looks like, if we're looking for a fork, we want to look at checks first. So the only check we have is what? This queen check right here, and we fork the king and the knight. Now, remember, when a king is being attacked, there are 3 or less options. Capture the attacker, which cannot be done if our queen moves down here to b6. Block the attacker. Now that is possible. They could block with multiple pieces, but because the knight's under attack, maybe they try and save that knight by moving back here. But then we have our knight and our queen attacking, and they only have one defender, so we can grab that knight. So check, block, and then we take. Oh, and they didn't even want us to take that way. So, oh yeah, all right, yeah, I messed up, because then they'll just pin us, of course. I just moved too quickly trying to get through these last few puzzles. That way the video doesn't drag out too long. All right. Yeah, also, I'm good if I can play chess nice and slow, but the faster I try and go, my brain just bogs down. I'm not a speedy player. So now we just trade off more pieces, and it helps us a little bit more because we're ahead by this extra knight, and we're attacking their bishop as well now. All right. Here we go, on to puzzle number 9. What was this, a capture? Man, the obvious move might be to just go here, unless we have something better, which we're looking for a fork. So, we could just go here. Capturing the pawn, we're backed up by the rook. We're forking rook and king. King is going to move where? The only place he can move into the corner. Oh, wow. And then, well, if we take there, maybe a better move. Well, let's play this through. So we definitely know that's the first move. Now, do we go here or do we leave that there and grab the bishop while attacking this rook at the same time? So maybe that's better. Yes, that's what they wanted. So now we're attacking this rook and this rook as well. So, we should just pretty much be winning after we grab another rook and we have all these extra pawns. Okay, the final puzzle, number 10. What do we have here? Bishop just captured our bishop, and it's attacking our knight as well now. So we're looking for a fork. Well, if we look at checks first, we could go here with a check, but then the bishop could just capture that. If we capture, we're attacking the rook. So maybe that is a possibility. Now remember, when a king is being checked, capture the checking piece, block, or run, but a knight you can't block, or excuse me, you can't block a knight. You can only run or capture a knight. So here, if we check, the king could run to here, but then there would be the possibility of this discovered attack once this knight moves. And can we use that to our advantage? If the knight checks the king moves. Oh, then we could go back here with a discovered attack, and we're attacking that. So let's see what happens. Okay, they just capture. Well, now after we recapture, we can just capture this bishop now, guarding our own bishop, and we have a rook on the 7th rank, which can be pretty dangerous. All right, so we just grab that, and now we should be winning. We're just up a bishop. We're guarding the bishop, so we can move the other rook over, maybe doubling them, trying to trade down material, use our extra bishop in the endgame to pick off some pawns and win easily. All right, I hope you enjoyed this fork tactic, pattern recognition video. And remember, you can go over this video again multiple times, or you can find your own book, or get on chess.com and just solve tactics regularly. And let me know in the comments, has it helped you improve your chess? Especially for beginners, you should definitely see a improvement if you're solving tactics regularly and you start recognizing those patterns better. All right, well, like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and have a super chess day.